In the general info setup window, we can select some general information regarding our company, and that will show up on the front screen of the software and also in the receipts. That info is something like the company's name, the company's telephone number, your company's address, mainly for the receipts, the register designation, like let's say you number your registers, register 1, register 2, 3, you enter that here for each register. And of course it doesn't have to be just a number, you can use any combination of characters, you can name them alphabetically or whatever, as long as you can differentiate and the system can differentiate each register by some kind of designation. Also, you can select the general location of your business, not exactly an address, but just a general. If you have multiple stores, right, one in one general geographic area, another one in another, this is an easy way to differentiate the locations. And then the last three options are actually a message for the receipt, for end of receipt message, kind of like thank you, come again, we appreciate your business. Those are just some suggestions we've had in here, but you can add this and add your own text. In the end, of course, you click submit changes for the changes to take effect. Now in the invoice receipt setup menu, you can choose things that will definitely have different outcome on your invoices or receipts as they're printed. Things like the font, what font you use to print the receipts, you can change it to whatever font is available on your PC, definitely, and also whatever font you like more, and the font size, whatever looks better on your receipt size and with that certain font name. Then you can select a whole bunch of things that can add to the receipt as far as options. They can be turned off or on by simply clicking yes or no. Things like whether or not you want a logo printed on the receipt, if you want the invoice number to be printed in a form of a barcode on the receipt, if you want the customer's name on the receipt, customer's address, customer's phone number on the receipt. And then the last option here is to decrease the horizontal printing length by a certain percentage, and you can decrease it by a certain percentage when you move this handle in here. What that means is sometimes some people have a little bit of a challenge to set the printer to print right, where everything is entered correctly, and let's say you're working with a receipt printer which has a 3-inch width on the paper. Many times that doesn't mean that it's a 3-inch total available for printing, because there's some margins set in the end, and that printer cannot actually print to the edge, all the way to the edge. So it's not an exact 3-inch total of printing length horizontally, or whatever that may be, however many inches in your case. If you see that your text is getting cut off by a little bit on the sides, then you would use this to decrease what our software thinks is your horizontal printing length by a certain percentage, and it will correct that problem. And then of course you click submit changes for the changes to take effect. Now in the regional standards and settings menu, you can select certain things depending on your currency and tax rules of the general area that you're located in. As far as the tax, you can select whether or not you're going to use just one tax, or you need to use two taxes. Let's say we're going to use two taxes for some areas that have two kinds of taxes, two different kinds of taxes. You can also, of course, name them as you wish, or whatever your regulation is to your area. Let's say this one will be some kind of a state tax, and this one will be some kind of federal tax. So you can totally name them whatever and choose how many taxes you're going to use. Right now we're just going to return to our local settings, which are just simply it's a state tax, just one tax. So I'm going to select single tax and just call it tax in here. Then you have tax insertion as far as an option. This is regarding the method in which you insert the taxes to the calculations. Of course, the standard USA way is to add the taxes at the end as a total to the sale, to the total of the sale. And we understand that there's a lot of countries like in Europe, Australia, Asia, and other places that actually include the prices pre-sale. The prices that you see on the product on the shelf already have taxes included in there, so they will use this option. And of course, whether or not you add the tax before you total everything or after makes a big difference in the grand total and in the amount, even though we're talking about same percentage taxes, because it makes a difference because of pure mathematical reasons, like rounding off certain decimal points, whether or not you're gonna do your totaling and round off in the end or in the beginning makes a big difference in a grand total sometimes. So you definitely want to choose the correct method for your regulations. Next option is currency selection. As default, we have United States dollars. Of course, we try to have as many countries as possible in here. We believe we have them all. So far, we haven't heard any complaints that we've missed any. However, in the event that you cannot find the currency for your country, you can actually add it real quickly by pressing this button, add a currency, and it will simply ask you just two questions. What's the name of your currency, and what's the sign you want to see in front of the numbers for that currency? And there you go, you've just added your own currency. The last option in here is regarding the decimal places used in your currency. As default, we have the 2 decimal places because that's what most systems use, and definitely the dollar system uses 2 decimal places. However, some countries will have currency systems that use 3 decimal places, and they'll be using this option. For now, I'll just leave it to our local codes in here. And of course, in the end, as always, you click submit changes for the changes to take effect.